Okay, you guys should be live.
All right. I'll call our regular board meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. And Ms. Zimmerman, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Braun,
Present.
Mr. Campbell,
Present.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Present.
Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Here.
Mr. Shaw,
Present.
and Mr. Lawson.
Present. All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic,
and to the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands, one nation,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all. All right. I'd like to make a few opening remarks before we get started around the theme of our values of unity as a school district, student body, teachers. We're Vanderbilt strong. We're Vanderbilt unified. Unity comes in all forms. It comes in the form of unity of respecting those of different race, socioeconomic backgrounds, and backgrounds of different economies. We have to remember that we all come from our own walks of life. And the only way we can remain unified as a school and community is to remember our values, to emphasize those, to accept and celebrate the diversity that we have. A different skin tint, a different economic background, whether you're interested in athletics or academics, sets us apart only minorly. We're here together to learn to become better students, to become better citizens of our country. Last few weeks, with some of the tensions felt in our nation, the bullying word has been thrown around even in our school district, where one student may have said some things about another that was taken out of context or thought to be mean. And the bullying word is in our society today, I believe, overused and underdefined. In our student handbook, it is defined. I won't read that to you, but parents, students, when you pick up your handbook in August, read the definition of bullying. But I will say this, any bullying problem we have at school started in the home. Our students observe how parents treat each other, grandparents treat each other, and that is how they learn how to treat other people. And so before we accuse someone of bullying, we must look inside ourselves and say, am I teaching a bad behavior to my kids, to the students? My request of all who watch our board meeting, who participate in anything at our school district level, is that we seek ways to be unified and respect other people and carry out that value of family as a school district. Thank you. Dr. Garrison, do we have any additions to the agenda?
No, we do not.
All right. Public participation?
No.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes of the regular board meeting, May 19th, 2020, the approval of financial reports and bills for Vandalia Community School District number 203 and Oka Area Vocational Center, and the approval of destruction of executive session audio recordings older than 18 months.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Who seconded? I'm sorry. Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun, and Mr. Lawson.
Yes. Okay, we're ready for the superintendent's report, Dr. Garrison.
Yes, so our report is collaborative between myself, the administration, and the union. So as we have moved into phase 3, ISBE, the Illinois State Board of Education, and Illinois Department of Public Health have released our phase 3 guidelines. We were able to get behind the wheel up and going. Following those mandates, we're still under the 10 or less until June 27th, when we're expected to move into phase 4. While the phase 4 recommendations and mandates have not come out yet from the Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Public Health, we have begun our planning for all 3 options, laid it out to all school districts in the state of Illinois. Our goal is still to return in person, if at all possible, with all of the safety and health mandates being met. Currently, if we look at the phase 3 guidelines, and the state superintendent said those could potentially be the phase 4 from the Illinois Department of Public Health. The mandates currently state the 6-foot social distancing is required. So looking at our space and our teaching staff, along with our teaching assistants, we can run at about 50% capacity. And again, this is just planning. We are in the planning stage. So just being transparent with the community and our parents. If you see surveys going out, it's just to gather data. Transportation survey is out now. That is relevant whether we're in return in person 100% or if we're running at 50% capacity. Again, we're working actively on those plans the next few weeks. Our instructional model will come out in July. And then the third option is remote learning only. We are planning only in that case if we would have a local outbreak and would be required again by our public health officials to be shut down for a set amount of time. So I just want to be clear that planning does not mean implementation, but we have to be prepared for all 3 options in August. Do any board members want to add or clarify, or administration want to add or clarify anything that I just said? Stay tuned for more information. One other point, Julie Wallerman, our regional superintendent, myself, and Nurse Lewis, we have had the opportunity to give the Illinois State Board of Education our feedback from a rural downstate district. Now, obviously, we give our perspective, and then they have to take that to a state perspective. We're in the 4 regions, but I just want to acknowledge Nurse Lewis's time on that committee, as well as Julie Wallerman. We do have a voice. Not everything that we recommend might actually come to fruition, but at least we have that opportunity for the 2-way conversation at the state level. I know Mr. Kern has an acknowledgement, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Kern.
Good evening, everybody. The one acknowledgement I have is just to report the winners of our Alumni Foundation Scholarship for 8th graders. It's a $1,000 scholarship in which these students will receive upon graduation to apply towards their post-secondary education. And those students are Sadie Willenberg, daughter of Bob and Amy Willenberg, and Riley Stone, daughter of Justin and Danielle Stone. So just want to give those students a shout out and congratulate them on their honor.
And the last thing to remind the public and the media is we do have a special board meeting next Tuesday for the purpose of the budget amendment. So we'll go into the finances at the next meeting, a week from today. That's all I have, Mr. Lawson.
All right. Do we have a need for an executive session? All right,
No.
then we're moving on. Okay, I will entertain a motion for the approval of the copier proposal for DACOM GFI.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We actually need to clarify in the motion which company, please.
And if there's any discussion, CJ is available.
Okay. Dr. Garrison, I believe that you have a recommendation. Is that correct?
Yes, our recommendation is GFI.
GFI, okay. CJ, would you like to clarify anything?
Yes, this actually wasn't as easy of a decision as I thought it was going to be because I wanted to get input from all the teachers and people using it. One of the biggest issues was getting rid of the risographs or keeping them. And the issue is eventually we'll have to get rid of them anyways because they're becoming too costly to maintain and we need to adjust. I know there's been a lot of adjusting this year, but this is that one little step that will help us for the next 5 years because this is a 5-year contract. That way we're more prepared for the next 5 years and the next 10 years after that.
Okay.
And the other thing, as far as service, as far as turnaround time, the tech for GFI is a local resident, having experience with the company before, can speak to the turnaround, the fast time of the service of the machines as well.
Motion is the approval of copier proposal for GFI. We're all clear on it? Okay. Let's vote.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes. We'll entertain a motion for the approval of district resignation, Anita Wilson, VES Teacher's Aide.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes. Entertain a motion for the approval of district employment, Shane Henson, Vandalia Junior High School custodian.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes. I'll entertain a motion for the adjournment of our meeting tonight
So
at
moved.
5:15.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Stick around, just say so. We're done. Thank you all for participating.
All right, and I
Thank you.
apologize to everyone who was viewing publicly that the links changed. Sorry about that. We got closed out there for a second. Thank you.